Welcome back
Hey,
to the Morning Ramble. I'm Matt.
I am Eric.
We are back from our long vacation.
We are.
It was long because I said it would be.
That's right. We said this is when we'd come back, and we're back, as promised.
Yes, exactly the week that we said.
This was the week.
Yes, don't look back at the last podcast, because this was the week.
That's right. All right, let's get into it. Lots of news.
Yes, and none of it involves Trump at all.
No, sports edition. All right, let's go right into it. So this has been bugging me this week, so we just got to talk about it. And I know
All right.
you've been paying attention
A little bit, yes.
about this Brown guy. Your words, not mine. All right, so real quick, and then we'll get into some of the political stuff and other news. So Antonio Brown.
Was a Steeler.
Okay, I'll break it down for you real quick. So Antonio Brown, Pittsburgh Steeler, since 2010, signed a big contract 2012. He was released last year due to some disputes with Ben Roethlisberger and
That's this guy.
Mike Tomlin. And we're wearing jerseys because today is the first Sunday of football.
Is it?
Yes, it
I
is.
didn't know that.
Yes. Thursday night, the Packers and Bears played, and it was uber boring.
Unfortunate.
10-3 Packers. So yeah. Anyway, he was released. He was signed with the Raiders, and then everything went crazy. It's pretty much, it was just one scandal after another. He was, if anyone watches football for the last several years, I was thinking about T.O. the whole time because T.O. was a big drama queen and always would cause a ruckus. And then people were talking about Randy Moss. But anyway, so bullet points. Signs with Raiders. Badmouths the Steelers. Says he was never friends with Ben Roethlisberger.
Bad form.
Past tweets proved otherwise. Anyway, so then he first, in the beginning of August, when training camp was finishing up, he got frostbite on his feet. Now, Oakland is out west, so you might be asking you, how did he get frostbite on his feet in the middle of August? He went into, I think it was like one of those cryo chambers that athletes go into, and he wasn't wearing the proper foot gear, and he froze his feet. So, first dilemma. Pretty weird. Next one, he doesn't like the new helmets. He wants to wear the helmet that he's been wearing since 2012 or 2010 or whatever. And the NFL said no because it's not approved anymore. So he tried to paint over his old Steelers helmet to make it look like a Raiders helmet. Yes, I'm not making this up. I'm not making this up at all. All right, speed it up. So then finally he decides that he's going to wear a helmet, even though he said he wasn't going to play. And then he picks a new helmet, makes a big deal about it. And then he misses practices. So then the Raiders fine him because if you don't show up for work, you don't get paid.
Right.
And then he had a big fit. And he posted on social media, I'm probably missing something, by the way. He posted on social media a letter from Mike Mayock, which is the general manager of the Raiders, saying you're going to be fined. And then this past Wednesday, he got in an argument, had to be held back by his teammates, threatened to punch his boss in the face, and called him a cracker.
Well, as insults go, that's probably at the bottom of the totem
Yes,
pole.
yes. Then he punted a ball and said, "Fine this." Then there was speculation that he was going to be released. Then John Gruden, the head coach, came out on an unofficial
What was his name?
Did I say John Gruden?
Okay, I thought you said John Groot, and I thought that was funny.
No, not maybe. Yeah, his name's John Gruden. For some reason, I thought it was Joe. Anyway, John Gruden. He came out and said, Antonio Brown, he has some thinking to do, and he's good, and he's going to play Monday night for the first game. So everyone's like, oh, that's weird. That turned to 180. Then all of a sudden, it comes out that the Raiders were actually going to fine him more for that incident on Wednesday, upwards of $215,000. And then, I don't know how clear this was, but there was speculation that they were going to try to deduct his like $30 million guaranteed signing bonus. So then Brown Saturday morning, came out and said, "Release me from the Raiders." This is all 1 week, by the way.
This is a roller coaster.
Yes. So then he said, "Release me," and then a couple hours later, the Raiders release him. And then 2 hours after that, he signs a 1-year deal with the Patriots.
But he's not going to be allowed to play
Against the Steelers.
Against
His
the Steelers.
former team. And as a Steeler, I have to say I'm disappointed. He is one of the best wide receivers in the league, and I would love to see one of the Steelers players completely destroy him on defense.
I was kind of wondering because
Just want to see Joe Hayden come up and just knock him out.
because this does seem like a lot of to do for somebody who's clearly gotten hit in the head too many times.
He has CTE. He does. He has to.
So I was like, is he any good? So I guess that answers my question.
He's one of the best. But, I mean, I could also throw another name at you, and you probably wouldn't even know who it is. DeAndre Hopkins.
Nope.
Arguably, I would say he's probably better than Antonio Brown. But the reason why you don't hear about him is because he's a decent human being and plays football. So that's why you don't hear about DeAndre Hopkins. But and then a lot of people were talking about this whole Brown situation, and it was kind of coming out like, well, has Brown always been like this? And in the past, if you're a Steelers fan, you've criticized Mike Tomlin. I've criticized Mike Tomlin. And we criticize him because we felt like he didn't have control of his team. But it just seems like if this is the type of person he's been dealing with for the last 9 years, maybe he should be nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize because he was able to keep this guy contained for the since 2012 when he signed that big check. So Mike Tomlin, I apologize.
How do you think Billy Boy will do with
Oh,
it?
he won't take any crap. I don't think so. Like I think that's why it was a 1-year deal though as well. It was kind of like, let's sign you on for a year. You get to play football. Everything goes well. We'll sign you a bigger deal at the end.
Right.
And I think that's what's going to happen. And honestly, I bet you Brown probably has more respect for a team like the Patriots over the Raiders. I feel like Brown just didn't care probably at all about Mayock's opinions or even Derek Carr, the QB there, because there's a new team. So anyway, that's
Carr with 2 R's.
Yes, it is Carr with 2 R's.
I remember that part.
Yeah.
Just call me Mr. Sportman.
So what a roller coaster! Great entertainment. We'll see if this guy's not going to play. I'm honestly a little bit disappointed. I think everyone's disappointed he won't be able to play tonight. So
wait, that's tonight.
Tonight they are supposed to play at 8 p.m. Sunday night football.
We're recording this on Saturday.
We record a day early, but we like to talk like it's not the day early.
We're just getting back to this.
Yes.
Give us a sec.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to get back into the swing of things.
Mm-hmm. All right, so that's some football news. Yeah. So what do we got next? Let's talk a little bit about some candidates because we've been away for a while.
I haven't paid that much attention.
Yeah. A couple of people dropped out.
I've seen some crazy stuff that one lady was saying. That was cool.
That one lady was saying.
I don't remember her name, but I do remember she's crazy.
Yeah, and Christine Gillibrand dropped out. I don't know if you saw that.
I didn't see that, actually.
She dropped out. The CEO of Starbucks dropped out.
Good.
And I was just like, was he running? I probably said something about it on here.
I don't remember ever hearing anything about that, so we might have missed him.
Eric Swallow dropped out, but I think that happened before we ended.
It did. Yeah,
that's right.
That's been a while.
Who else? There was more people that dropped out. Oh, Insling and the governor of Colorado, Hickenlooper.
Oh, good.
Hickenlooper and Inslee dropped out. So pretty much, I think we're down to like the top, I guess you could say 8 or 10. Some of the lower people that are still running that I guess you could say have a chance is O'Rourke.
No.
That one senator from, I forget her name. Do you know who I'm talking about?
Nope.
Okay, her. Anyway, the top ones though: Biden, Harris, Warren, Bernie, Yang, and then I would say those are probably the top 5.
I would probably agree.
And then maybe going down, I would say Booker, Pete, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
I like how we've just given up on his last name.
Pete. Oh yeah, I won't say it anymore. Buttigieg.
Buttigieg.
I just can't. I can't say it. It's French, and I refuse.
I hate French people.
That's right.
Just all of them.
Yep.
Sorry to our French viewers.
That's right. We apologize. I was going to say oui. Classic comedy. So anyway, that's what's going on with the candidates. We got a debate coming up this month, I think. At the end of this month, September.
Yeah,
they did not announce the date. They didn't announce the nights yet, but they did announce that the 10 candidates that were going to be, because I think it's only going to be one night, because now we're down to just 10 that are eligible. I'm still keeping my eye on Yang. He's pretty much the only interesting one. Some crazy stuff with Biden has happened over the last couple weeks that we've been gone. He was in Vermont, I think, and then he said he was in New Hampshire. You know,
I mean, I'd get them confused too.
I mean, it's all one
I still do. Like,
He's up north. He's
He-
in New England.
he's in one of those tiny states.
the
over
tiny
there.
states that are together that should just be one state.
The ones that are like shaped weird.
Yeah.
We're from Pennsylvania, and that is.
And
a
we're
weird
better than you,
Yeah,
so.
it's a weird shaped state too, but
We're a rectangle. We
Yeah.
know how to
we're mostly a rectangle.
mostly, except for Erie. And the side of New Jersey. They should just cut that off.
Give it to New Jersey.
Yeah. All right, so that's all we have for candidates. Nothing much. I mean, I'm sure there's some more stuff we can pull up. I think in the next coming weeks, as we get more to the next debate, we'll go in more depth. Now, since instead of us looking at 24 plus people, we actually have less than a dozen.
Oh
So
yeah. What are
that's
your?
excellent.
I know this is kind of random. What
Yeah.
are your opinions on Sharpie Gate?
Sharpie Gate. Oh yes, I was gonna bring this up actually. So I actually didn't hear the original quote from Trump, so I don't know what referencing. But here was my point of view. So it's a little annoying that it happened, I guess, because it's like if Trump said, yeah, it's gonna go hit Florida and then Alabama, and everyone's like, no, it's not, and then all of a sudden now it's going up north. He'll be like, listen. Alabama's behind Florida. We all know that hurricanes turn into tropical storms once they make landfall, mostly when they get down. Obviously, some rain's going to hit Alabama, whatever. Now it's going up north. Like, he could have just been like that, and then we were over with. It's not like he had to say, I'm wrong. He didn't even have to say that because, I mean, it's not like he said, it's going to hit Alaska. He was he was in that
Instead,
hemisphere.
he was like calling in people and be like, I'm right. But it doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't
At the end of the day.
Well, then didn't Nosha come out and say that he actually wasn't wrong or something? Like I don't
Noah.
know. It was Noah. What was? I don't know. It was weird.
Yeah, it
I
is
just
what
don't-
it is.
who cares?
There are people who are agreeing with it, people who disagree with it, but it doesn't really
Listen.
matter because the storm veered off.
That hurricane was so full of itself, traveling less than 1 mile per hour. Like, get over yourself and just make landfall. Like, who do you think you are?
You're too good for Florida?
Yeah.
You're too good for Florida.
No one's too
No
good.
one is too good for Florida. Not a single person on this planet.
Yeah. I hate Florida.
Shout out to our boy the Rubes.
Yeah, Rubio. It's pretty funny when I know a couple people that even live down in Florida now.
You do.
Sean lives down there. Sean Gray,
Oh, that one.
that one.
He was in your
Sean,
wedding.
I know you're watching.
He was in your wedding.
Yes, that guy.
Yes.
So he lives down there, and he's all about weather. He's so about weather, he probably wanted it to hit Florida just so he could stand out there with his phone. I'm here in the hurricane. And then one of my old managers, she moved down there with her family.
One of my
And-
favorite phenomenons with weather stations is when they're trying to fake that they're in like really heavy winds. Like there'll be a moderately heavy wind,
Yeah.
and the guy will be like,
What wasn't that last year or 2 years ago?
And then a
The
kid
guy-
just walks by behind him.
Yeah, like the guy's like, and then there's like two people walking with like a bottle of water like behind them.
Like, just-
yeah, casually
Like it's
walking.
not a big deal.
Yeah, I love that.
That's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
I love mess ups like that,
Mm-hmm.
especially when they're like, we're live here. Like pre-record it. Just
Yeah.
pre-record it.
But I think would be reluctant to do say the fact that the Bahamas, though, I think it's upwards to over 40 people now have died.
Yes.
Because it literally just sat there for 2 days,
Yeah.
just over the Bahamas.
And that's a real problem with a slow moving
and
storm.
it's
like
not
that.
like you can even go anywhere. If you're down
Absolutely.
there, you're on an island. What are you gonna do?
You can't get on a boat. You can't get on a plane. Nothing.
Yeah.
Yes. Our thoughts and prayers go out to them. My thoughts, his prayers.
Good split. But it's already getting towards September, so I don't even know if there's any more hurricanes going to be coming this season. It's been kind of a low.
It has been a low
Because
season.
normally there's 4 of them coming up in the Atlantic, and so far, I'm sure there's other ones out there, but this is the only one that's coming near us so far.
Hopefully there won't be any more.
No, we haven't had a flood up here due to a hurricane since 11, so
Yeah. I mean, we've had floods up here, but they were just because of heavy
nothing.
rain.
Yeah, nothing by the river. Too much. Not too bad, at least. Couple flash floods from rain.
However,
but-
where I live in Bloomsburg, we had some really bad flooding last year.
Oh.
I mean, I wasn't there at the time, but it was really bad.
We're on a mountain.
Trust me, where I live in my basement,
Yeah.
it's up to the third step from the top, like the mud from the flood.
Is that from your deck? Or like, what do you mean?
No,
like
from in the basement.
Oh, okay.
It's bad.
We had that crazy rain a week ago, and I found out there's holes in my walls over here.
That is not good.
Yeah, it's gonna come right when we're filming. No, it's not good, but it's also good because I know where they are now, so I need to get some cement. Patch it up.
Patch it up.
Patch it up. Sharpie Gate. What else we got going on?
Oh, by the way, the memes for Sharpie Gate, they're on point. They're really funny. Just look them up. We're not gonna.
Wait, that wasn't a pun? Sharpie Gate, they're on
Oh
point.
man, that was good.
You didn't even
I
realize
didn't even mean to.
your own point, your own pun.
I'm so.
They're so on point. I'm sorry. So before we started
Eric,
filming,
that was a fine point.
before we started filming, we were talking about Antonio Brown. He's like, "Yeah, that brown guy," and I'm like, "Whoa, Matt, a brown guy." Excuse you.
Of course, I didn't read it.
He didn't even realize Antonio Brown.
If I saw Antonio Brown in a crowd, I'd have no idea who he was, even if he was wearing his jersey. I'd walk by and be like, "Ah, there's a guy wearing a Brown jersey. Okay."
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm wearing this jersey for solidarity. Eric
Yeah.
threw it at me and told me to wear it.
Exactly. I have many jerseys. My daughter has an Antonio Brown jersey when he's on the Steelers, and we got to get rid of that, and I got to get her someone else. You know, this is a DeCastro offensive lineman, 4-time Pro Bowler, supporting the O-line. I'll get her maybe like T.J. Watt or someone who's not insane. You were to talk about some bombs.
I
or
wanted to
something.
talk about a little something that a lot of people aren't talking about. And it's not a new issue. It's
Trump?
been going on for a long time. No, not Trump.
Oh, okay.
He's relatively new.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess unless you're in the real estate market, in which case he's not. But so basically, like we have nuclear power plants, just a bunch of them across the country.
There's one right over there.
There's less than there used to be, but there's a bunch of them across the country.
Mm-hmm.
There is, in 2002, there was legislation signed for a permanent waste disposal facility.
Isn't this up in the Rockies?
Yes.
Okay.
It's called Yucca Mountain.
Yes, I know about this.
So basically, the whole idea was put together so that this could be our permanent place to get rid of nuclear waste, nuclear byproducts, which are highly radioactive and have half-lives of something like 52,000 years or something like that. So it's a long time.
Yep.
And currently, we do not have a long-term nuclear disposal facility or nuclear storage facility. So how it works, in most cases, there are some places where you can store things, but they're not permanent.
Okay.
So basically, the way it works now is the plants run, their nuclear waste is stored on site.
Yeah. Now, when you say nuclear waste, like we're talking about like the fuel rods, are we not? Or what? I don't know too much about like how a nuclear reactor, nuclear waste, or how any of that works.
And we
much.
don't.
I know
we
that
don't necessarily need to.
No.
But yes, we're talking about fuel rods, other byproducts.
And fuel rods usually last a while though in the plant, don't they? Like several
they
decades.
do.
Or? Okay.
But if they get to any sort of, because they are made of somewhat flexible materials, if they get to any sort of misshapenment, they have to be immediately taken down.
Okay.
Because that's what happened at Chernobyl.
Gotcha.
And several other plants like 3 Mile Island.
Yeah.
So basically, this waste is stored on site in all of these places. There's nothing permanent about that. And a lot of times, if these plants close down, the company that owned the plant is supposed to get rid of that waste. In a lot of cases, they just haven't. So these places will be like guarded by one guard at night or something like that, and then there's just nuclear waste sitting at the bottom that wouldn't be all that difficult for somebody who was very determined to get to.
Okay. I mean, you'd have to be highly equipped to get to it.
Absolutely.
I mean, you'd have to be
But
crazy equipped and know what to do.
In this world, it's because it's pretty easy to get information on these things.
Yeah.
Like, I've read 3 books on this subject, and I still am pretty stupid on it.
So they're okay. So right now we just do them in temporary storage facilities,
Yes.
and then they move them around, I guess, to other temporary storage facilities. Is that kind of the?
They don't really move them.
Okay, they just kind of go there.
There is one in, I think, not Nevada, New Mexico. There's one
Okay.
in New Mexico that is a more permanent facility,
Yeah.
but you can't just transport all this stuff to another temporary site just to have it moved again.
Gotcha.
We need a permanent waste facility. So basically,
Any plans?
in 2011, the funding for the site was just cut off. They've been building it for years, and the funding for the site was just cut off.
Obama.
And it has not,
No, I don't.
and it has not come back.
Okay.
It was actually cut off by the Republican House of Representatives.
Gotcha. Okay.
This is the kind of thing that sort of confuses me about politics, because everything that people rally for in the bigger parties is temporary. It's like, we want to lower taxes. That's temporary. They're gonna go back up. That's just the economy. That's how it works. But nobody seems to care about things that are really important, like this, and it frustrates me. But part of the reason why this was shut down was because there was legislation from the people who live in the area
To stop it, I'm
to
guessing.
stop it. But the problem is, people keep just moving to the area. So the town around it gets bigger,
Yeah.
and then there's more people to throw right now.
So I guess a couple questions I want to throw at you. So one, this facility, this would have been a permanent one. Is that what you're saying? To just
Yes.
store this safely, and it was how far away from the nearest civilization? Do you know, like the farthest town?
Like
Or
a mile.
a mile. That's not. I feel like our
But
country is
it's
so
deep-
big.
It's deep underground
Oh, okay.
in a mountain.
In a mountain.
Yes.
And it's also probably the walls are like
Incredibly thick.
insane. So this is something that I have a high interest in. I have not done nearly as much research as you have. But as we're talking about nuclear, one thing that kind of bothers me is that, I'm all for renewable energy. I'm all for getting rid of fossil fuels because they're inefficient. It's just true. I like coal for personal use. I grew up with coal stoves, wood stoves. I like it. It's nice. But as far as industrial, it's not practical. But the one thing that is always left out of like people who are for greener solutions is nuclear. And actually, they're not only are they not for it, they're also against it. Germany has outlawed all nuclear plants. I think Bernie has also petitioned. I think they're down to one nuclear plant in Vermont, or I think that just closed. I forget which one. They only have one though, if anything.
Right.
And I don't understand why. And that's a big problem. And the fact that their funding is cut off for that facility needs to change, because obviously there's not really a better solution, at least not now. I mean, we need to get Elon Musk on it. Maybe he can get a satellite in space to crane it up or something. I don't know.
That has been proposed,
Yeah.
and it was quickly shut down.
Well, the reason why is
Just
because,
like nuking hurricanes.
well, here's the thing though. You can't put nuclear waste on a rocket.
Absolutely.
We feel that
'Cause
that's
if it
insane.
blows, it's
You're gonna kill everyone.
Exactly.
But if we can get like a crane,
Sky Crane.
sky crane, we could do it.
They call me Mr. Sky Crane.
Someone needs to get Elon on the phone. We could do it, and we can just crane that thing up and then gently send it out
to the aliens.
to the aliens. Let them deal with it. So, but yes,
if this site was up and operational, I feel like people would be way more comfortable.
people are just uncomfortable with nuclear plants in general. But here's the thing. Yeah, there's been some awful nuclear instances in our world's history, but think about how many there has been. Not even enough to fill your whole hand. like with fingers, as far as catastrophic ones. So there's Chernobyl, which, I don't know too much about that one. I mean, and technically, I don't think a lot of people do because Russia's kind of.
Oh no! Now
I know there's more. I know there's more. And then there was
that
one
documentary that's pretty.
Wasn't
good.
there one in Japan? I think there's one in Japan. Yep. And then there was one here in the U.S.
3 Mile Island.
3 Mile Island. And then I don't know of any other ones, to be quite honest. And I don't mean to be ignorant. I just don't. Those are the three that come to my mind.
The thing that scares people with nuclear energy is that most of these issues have happened with either equipment failure or human failure.
The thing is that they are so. I know several people who work, because we live right next to PPL, and I know several people that work there. The amount of checks and balances
and stuff. Oh yeah,
the amount of
it's way better than it used to be.
It's because of those instances that the safety of it is insane. Because I've even had some people say like, "How do you feel comfortable living next to one of those?" Like people who aren't around here. I'm just like, "What are you talking about?"
It's just got a couple cloud makers, and that's
it makes clouds. That's when I was younger. Like that's the cloud maker.
Yeah.
Okay. We're talking about steam towers. If you don't know how nuclear reactors work.
Yes.
It's not.
They create steam to turn a turbine
that make clouds,
and they make clouds.
And without them, we would have no clouds.
Yes, exactly. All nuclear power plants create all the clouds in the universe.
I'm pro clouds.
Me too, buddy. Me too.
Hashtag pro clouds. But yeah, I'm all for nuclear. I always have been. I think it's a great source that does not have any, other than the waste that needs to be solved. There is no adverse effects to the environment other than the waste that comes from it after years of use. Yeah. Or, like you said, if there's any.
Here's the current issue with, like, economically. And I'm not talking about waste anymore. We could probably get into that a lot more in depth later if anyone's interested. Maybe we could get somebody who's actually knows something instead of somebody who's just read books on it.
And someone who's literally read nothing.
Yeah, but you probably watched a documentary.
I'm sure there's been a couple documentaries. I've seen too many.
But basically, right now with natural gas, it is cheaper and more cost effective over the long term to just make another gas-powered station instead of making a nuclear station because, like you said, there's so many checks and balances. There's so much government overhead in it.
Yes.
You've got to really get it right.
Yeah.
And reactor technology hasn't gone super far. Now, there are some private companies that are working on, like, portable reactors. And another thing that has been proposed is instead of having one big reactor for a power plant, have a bunch of smaller ones.
Okay.
Because they're easier to make, and we've been making portable nuclear reactors since World War II because of the nuclear subs. So that's not that difficult.
Yeah.
Like, the technology's there. Not a big deal. But then you're paying for that many reactors, and they're, like, thinking about maybe, like, 12 to X amount of reactors for a plant. And that's a lot of cost up front. Another thing I wanted to just briefly touch on, is the nuclear weapons thing.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the silos that we have in this country are still run by the same technology that they had in the 80s.
Cold War.
And that is... And they have upgraded some of them.
Hey, don't diss the 80s. They knew what they were doing.
They have upgraded some of them, but, like...
I'm sure.
If any of you guys have played a game on DOS or something where it's just all text, and that's basically the kind of technology we're looking at.
Simpler is better.
Can't
hack that. No, I don't know.
Oh, you can.
No, I know. I have.
But here's another crazy thing.
Hack it with paint.
There are some states that have silos in them that do not have a representative right now to inspect the silos. Like, that's a government job.
I think John Oliver did a segment on this.
Yes, he did.
This was a couple years ago he did it.
Yeah,
and
I highly recommend it.
You're talking about it, and it's coming back to mind. He was talking about across the country, there's a bunch of stuff, and like no one has updated anything or checked anything.
Yes,
and
and there have been updates. Like there have been some upgrades. But
Here's the thing, though. I'm sure there is still oversight over those facilities, security-wise. I mean, it's not like they're just. It's not like it's in an abandoned warehouse. Just kind of chilling
you're right
there.
on the vast majority of them.
Okay.
But there was literally one where a rando on the street was able to just walk into one of the facilities because somebody had propped the door open. This happened in 2011 or 12?
Yeah.
Somebody had propped the door open, so the rando was just able to, I wonder what this building is, and just walked in. So stuff like that, I'd like to have a little bit more oversight, and I'd like for Congress to fund an upgrade to them, because if we're gonna have them,
listen, Matt,
I want them to be as safe as possible.
You're talking about things that matter, and you're talking about things that we should be talking about, and that's just not what's popular.
I know.
So let's talk about something that's popular and shift our weapons discussion to Walmart. All right. I thought that was a good transition.
That was a good one.
I had to take it. That
was a good one.
I had to take it. All right. So last story, I think. So Walmart came out and they said
they're all gay.
They're all gay. They came out of the closet, and we're so happy for them. They came out and they said they're no longer going to be selling handgun ammunition at their stores, and that for the few stores that still sell handguns up in Alaska, they're no longer going to sell those either.
Okay.
They also came out and said we would also like no one to open carry in our stores.
Okay.
And that we are pressuring Congress, blah, 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 and they wrote a letter to Congress. And then the day after, CVS, Walgreens, and Wegmans all came out and said, yeah, us too. So that's pretty much what happened this week. And what was funny is that I was in there the day prior buying handgun ammunition.
That is pretty funny.
And then literally the morning of later, I'm like, oh, I guess I should have got more. No, actually, this is a lot of people are freaking out, and there's a couple different viewpoints, like people who, and anyone who says boycott Walmart, they're not real. Like, no one's going to boycott Walmart. Just like the people who were saying Walmart should stop selling this ammunition, did they stop shopping at Walmart this whole time? No.
It's
and
convenient, and the prices are fair, and it's ruining our cities.
I can get a round for 16 cents.
They sell cookies for like $2.
I can get cookies, guns, and tires. I'm set.
For when I'm shooting my guns at cookies and tires.
I'm shooting my gun at cookies and eating tires. Because
that's how badass I am.
Yeah. So I really don't care about this that much. I actually think it's a good thing to support, because I did buy my ammunition at Walmart the couple times I went there, but to support.
Were you open carrying?
Well, here's the thing. So I just started concealed carrying this summer when I bought my first handgun, because I grew up with rifles. We talked about this before. Grew up with rifles our whole life. Never owned a handgun. Bought my first handgun, and I've been I don't want people to feel uncomfortable, because I know who I am. I am a 6'4", over 300-pound man, bald. And, I don't want to make anyone feel uncomfortable. So I was always afraid of, it's called imprinting, when someone can see your firearm because of how tight your shirt is. So I only wore certain shirts out when I would go with it. And as the summer has continued, I just stopped kind of caring as much, because it's like, get over it. So I was carrying, but you could easily tell the shirt was over it, but you could tell. But anyway, they don't want open carrying. That's the thing. And the day after Tad, our friend Tad here, he open carried and went to go get some ammunition after the day that they announced that.
That's Tad.
And no one said anything.
That's
and
a Tad
honestly,
move.
I don't think that many people are going to say anything, at least not for now. We are going to do another, I think, firearms video, Second Amendment / firearms video soon. I know we talked about it last month, but we wanted to continue with our break. Probably sometime either this month, if not next. We're going to bring Town on, maybe a couple other friends. If you would like to be on and you think you have a really good viewpoint,
like an average viewpoint.
Average viewpoint. So I would say, Matt, you're probably in the average viewpoint, right? You're the majority.
I just don't care.
Just don't care. That's average.
If someone's going to shoot me, someone's going to shoot me, and I feel okay with that.
Yeah, so if you feel, honestly, I'll just say the viewpoint that we're lacking here is we need someone who is very much against, I guess you could say, concealed carrying or whatever. Because here's the problem. The two people I have in mind to bring on, they are so pro Second Amendment and so pro, carrying and stuff like I am. I'm going to have to do the devil's advocate role, and I'm going to argue against them. And I'm going to do it if you don't come on. So I'm going to pretend that I hate guns. No. But the ammunition thing, support local gun shops, I guess. But
I don't see why you wouldn't.
yeah, you pay a couple
Most
cents
people
more.
who have guns that I know like going to local shops because they're more knowledgeable.
Yeah.
Like, you think some rando at Walmart's gonna know all the stuff you want?
No, and
They don't even know where the paper plates are. And neither do I.
They're by the cookies. Actually, I think they're behind the bread at the one that I'm thinking of.
You go to Wilkes-Barre, though.
I shop at Walmart a lot. But here's the thing: I'm never going to go into Walmart without carrying because I just don't want to.
Yeah, you never know.
You never know. Actually, the one time, I think this was last summer or the summer before, we were up at Walmart, and then we got home, and 30 minutes after we got home, it's just some guy was just randomly shooting his rifle next to the auto place in Wilkes-Barre randomly in the air. Not at anyone, just shooting it in the air in the middle of the town. And I'm like, what the heck?
Sounds like he was having a good time.
Yeah, he was drinking.
Yeehaw!
Yeah.
This is how you shoot a rifle into the air. 100%. I know guns.
Yeah, so I think we'd have a pretty good discussion. Me and Tad have had some pretty good discussions, and I threw a couple ideas on some laws at him that I had an idea of, and he was he didn't agree with them, but he was
receptive.
He said it was he would have a hard time arguing with it. I think that was his viewpoint, because there's some laws that I have in mind that I feel don't infringe on rights. Now, be warned, there are many people who say any law is an infringement. But putting that argument aside, there's a couple of things that I have that actually I'll just throw one since we're talking about it. The one thing that I had is I think it should be illegal to open carry semi-automatic rifles in public.
That stands to reason.
I feel you should still be able to own them. That's I'm not that far. I feel like if you want to own them for home defense or sport, that's fine. But the purpose of, and here's my reasoning, not just for the heck of it. I'm not like some of these other people who say, oh, here's a law without a reason. The reason why is that because if it was a universal law in this country, if someone saw someone carrying a rifle that looked like that, they would call the police immediately. This guy's carrying this rifle, and those couple extra seconds or that extra minute could save lives. So if it was a universal knowledge that you can't open carry something like that, it could save people. So that was one law that I kind of threw out in the air, and he didn't really agree with it, and I was talking to someone else about it, and they were kind of iffy about it. But the thing is that I have a reason for it, and that's something that can be debated. So common sense, I guess you can say. I don't know.
Yes, and we're running for Congress.
We are.
We're not.
I'm running for president on the green ticket for nuclear.
We're gonna be
We're the nuclear party. We're gonna blow this place to the ground.
we are the new Jill Stein.
Please don't. I'm not Jill Stein. What are you doing to me?
You said the Green Party.
All right, and then for our last story, Jeffrey Epstein. No, I'm kidding.
He's not dead. He's in Bermuda.
He's in Bermuda. He's in Brazil. Yeah.
I have no idea what to think about that.
I don't want to talk about it.
Anyway.
He didn't kill himself.
Thank you guys so much for watching.
This was
if you want to hit subscribe, you should do that.
Yep. Or if you're watching Facebook, you should click on
the video.
Well, actually, if you're watching this, you wouldn't be on Facebook. So
whatever.
I don't know. It's on there.
Watch the video.
We'll see you guys next week.
Bye.
Thanks for stuff.